Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Mindful Warrior podcast. I'm Eben Britton. Excited to be in the studio today with my brother Nate Jackson. Nate, what's up?
Not much, man. I want to first say that it's a beautiful day in LA. We're on the west side, which is where our studio is. Jed, give a shout out, Jed.
Woo!
That's right.
There he is.
Yeah, Jim.
That's our man on the ones and twos. Yeah,
Love
right.
Jed.
And for our first guest ever in our second podcast, we have a good friend of mine, fellow NFL player. He's an actor. He's a model. He's a yoga instructor. He was on Survivor. Got pretty far on that show, didn't you?
Hey, now.
You're a writer. You've written a memoir called The Fifth Down about your life in and out of the NFL. And a good friend of mine. We played together in Denver. Grant Mattos, welcome to the show.
Awesome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited about it.
Good. We're happy to have you. So you live in Canada now, right?
Live in Vancouver.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
Well, my wife is working. She's an actor, so she's working up there doing some jobs. And I'm teaching yoga as well up there. But I don't have my work papers. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
It's
I
all
come
under
down.
the table?
It's all under the table, so to speak, yeah. So I come down to LA now to teach yoga
Okay.
and meditation and to write.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into the yoga. We're going to get into the meditation. We're going to get into the writing.
Love all that stuff.
Yeah, that's really all kind of why we're here. But
That's
we
what
want
we're
to
doing.
hear about your path a little bit in football. Grant and I, both from the same area, the Bay Area. Where did you grow up?
That's right. I grew up in Mountain View, California. So just about 45 minutes south of San Francisco, about 10, 15 minutes from San Jose, where you grew up.
Right.
Yeah.
And what high school did you go to? St.
I went
Francis?
to St. Francis High School. I went to Foothill Community College, which is about 5 minutes from St. Francis High School. And then from there to USC.
Do you know John Abramo?
I do. How
Oh
do you
my
know John
God.
Abramo?
I played at Arizona with John.
Oh, my God, that's right.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
God.
so funny.
Okay, small
anyway,
world.
Continue.
Anyway,
There we
Very
go.
cool.
Continuing,
Very
yeah,
cool.
it's 6 degrees.
The world gets smaller.
All right. How were you always in love with football? Did you always want to be a football star?
Well, I guess just to preface it with, my dad loved football. And my dad left when I was about 7 or 8. And so I knew that game would get attention from him, and that was the way to his heart. So my playing football started as just a way to get attention from my dad. And it morphed into this, as years went on, it morphed into this, my own dream of wanting to play in the NFL. And so it became very confusing as I got into junior college and college, and I wasn't in love with the game anymore, but I knew I just had to keep going and going and going until I took it till I could take it as far as I could.
Took it pretty damn far.
Pretty
man.
far.
Yeah.
So it was subconscious.
So you were in love with it. What, in high school was that your sweet spot with it? Like,
yeah. That was, well, I'd say junior college. I had the most fun, I enjoyed playing the most in junior college. That was when there wasn't any politics, there wasn't any money involved. It was
Right.
just for the love of the game. Like, you were playing, you were working out, you're doing everything, not because you were getting stuff or money was involved. It was just for the love of the game. And then that's the last time I can remember I really truly enjoyed it.
And you went to USC
Right.
on a scholarship?
Yeah. Well, I was going to walk on. After 2 years at Foothill Community College, no one offered. I didn't have any scholarship offers. And so I was going to walk on at Cal Berkeley. And they're like, well, maybe if you do well, we'll find you one. And I was staying in shape at the junior college I was at, right? They were doing spring ball. And Norm Chow came down to look at our quarterback.
Amazing.
Right? They wanted to replace Carson Palmer.
I love
And because they didn't know if he was going to leave early for the draft. So I'm out there running routes, and our head coach, Marshall Spurbeck, great guy, just a great human being, goes like, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to get you a scholarship today. He runs over to he goes over to Norm Chow and they exchange words. I don't know what they're saying. Norm laughs. They shake hands. He comes back and he goes,
You got it.
He goes, you're on. So he's like, the rest of practice, every pass it was to me, right? So he directed it, so it was to me, and so I caught. And I had a great practice. I had heard so many times, like, hey, yeah, you'll get a scholarship. Yeah, we'll take care of you. So I was like, fuck, I don't care anymore.
Right.
Chances of him actually giving me a scholarship are slim. So Norm comes up to me after practice and he goes, you know, we could really use a guy like you at USC, like a big slot wide receiver. I'd heard it before, and so I said, yeah, great. You know, I would love that. If you're serious about it, this is where I am, and this is my situation. A week later, Pete Carroll flies down and puts me through a workout, essentially,
That's
right?
sick.
Like you would do in the NFL. And we walk around this shitty practice field, this dirt practice field. Me and him.
It was
and
a
we're-
really bad field.
It was bad, right? Like,
Yeah.
because I played against Nate and I played against each other unknowingly. He was
in
at
a
Menlo.
scrimmage.
In a scrimmage.
Because I went
so
to Menlo
funny.
right up the street.
Of course.
And
Right?
we went to go to Foothill, and the grass was about 9 inches long,
Oh, my
potholes. It was a really bad scene.
You had a
Hot
teammate.
as blazes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a teammate who actually tore. He was a
He broke his femur.
because of the
Branch. His name was Branch.
because of the long grass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So Pete Carroll.
Okay, Pete Carroll comes to work you out.
he comes to work out. I'm nervous as
Which
shit.
is amazing because I've met Pete a couple times, both when he was recruiting me to go to USC, and then he brought me into Seattle to work out. And both times I was like, man, I would have loved to have played for that dude.
Man.
You know, he seemed like he was just on a different, kind of functioning on a different wavelength as a coach. I don't know, but
Does it become to the point where it's like, all right, Pete, is this real?
Yeah.
Like, are you really this
what's
excited
the
about
walk and the
practice today?
zen and the-
No, it's legit.
Yeah,
he was
he
was
is.
the
No, he is.
the one coach that I can say honestly that I wanted to play for. The one coach besides the junior college coach I had that I actually was like, okay, he's getting me excited to actually play. Whereas it's most head coaches come up and they give you the runaround speech. This is what we have to take care of. This is what Shanahan especially was just like dry. Like this is what we do.
Right.
This is what we do, and that's great.
And it's so funny how you can have different feelings for the same coach. Like Shanahan was my Pete Carroll in a way. Like he's the one who gave me that job when I would not have had a job otherwise. I mean, I was done.
You guys-
And so I wanted to play for him. I wanted to impress him. And I did not want to let him down, type of thing.
A question for you: what do you think what is that that special relationship that players have with coaches? And we all have them at some point.
It's very
in our
father-son
career.
type.
Father-son type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you want. Like football is a lot about the reward system, and like when you do well, you're praised. You get a good job, a pat on the butt. Hell yeah, Grant, attaboy.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're like okay, and that keeps you going
For sure.
And when they're not pleased by what you did, they let you know and they tell you you're a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
and you're like, oh my god. It's almost as if the way a dog is treated by the
very
owner.
shameful.
You're celebrated, you get your fucking bones and you get your treats.
Yeah.
But if not, you're fucking spanked.
It always validates your experience. It validates your experience in life to a degree. I feel like you do well,
Definitely.
you feel good about yourself.
But it's very cut and dry in the way that the real world is not. Like every day if you had a good football practice or not.
Yeah, true.
If you're there the next day, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, that's right.
They tell you if you fuck up.
Well, on the most simple level, I mean, nature is just set up in this way to reward people for good things, and I mean,
Right.
the way our brains are wired.
Well, what does
to-
determine good?
Well, I'm thinking like anytime you get a dopamine hit from your brain is anytime you learn something new or you see something new or experience something new, your brain gives you this good feeling like, hey, you just did something good, buddy. Let's go do that again. So it's kind of, it's a microcosm of that
Yeah.
NFL
Yeah.
world where
Right.
as a good little soldier, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
what can I do next to prove coach, to show coach I'm doing it right.
That's
Right.
right.
Kicking
that's right.
ass and
And they have so much power. They actually hold so much power over your life by the way they react to your performance.
Yeah,
if they
you're
think you're good,
emotional.
then you're good there. But if not, you're cut. Your life immediately changes because that coach doesn't want you.
Wouldn't it be so powerful to actually have someone come in? And I don't know if they would hear it because we all were at that stage at one point, and I don't know if we would hear it. Somebody come in and be like, "You actually have that power yourself already, right? You don't need to be validated by this."
Yeah.
But I don't know if it would be heard.
It's so hard, man. It's so dialed in and
You know?
funneled to that one reward system, that bubble.
Yeah.
So, Pete
Right.
Carroll.
back to Pete.
Back to Pete.
We're
So
walking
you-
around.
Yeah, you're walking around.
We're walking around the field, and he's telling me about his experience. Here's my background. I've been with the 49ers and all these different NFL teams, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm going like, well, that's where I want to go, right? And you could be the man that gets me there, or at least points me in the right direction.
Now, at this point, did you really want to go there, or were you
I did.
on this ride and you were like, "That's right, I'm supposed to be"?
No, that's where I was. It was blinders. I had to get there,
Right.
and didn't know exactly why, but I was just, that's what I have to do. That's my purpose in life. I have no idea why, but at the same time, I'm starting to resent my father now for coming to games, and for all we do is interact via football, and that's it. And I wanted someone in my life that was that wanted to know me more than just the football player. But I was still kind of juggling that whole relationship. So we're walking around the field, and he's telling me about himself. He turns to me at one point and stops. We're far away from any person. The 280 freeway is going by, and there's cars driving by. And he goes, because I was big at the time. I was like 225 pounds for a receiver, which is like big dude, and like 3% body fat. So it was like just shredded. He's like, "Are you on steroids?" And I start laughing, and I turn back to him, and he's not laughing. He's serious. He wants to know if I'm on steroids. So he asked again, "Are you on steroids?" I said, "No, I haven't. I don't touch it. This is all natural.
Vascular.
I'm very vascular, you know." And
look at the vein in my dick.
And so yeah, right.
I'd like to see that vein, Grant.
Yeah, just pull your pants down for a short second. No, he goes, because look, after twice saying no, I'm good. I'm not. He goes, if you are, we have systems in place that can
help you.
That will help you, right? So
Really?
if you are,
What is that implying?
implying that we'll get you clean,
Or will
We
help
can
you
help
pass?
we'll help you pass. Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Oh.
So, so we go back, we make a full circle, and he turns to me and says, "Would you like a full ride to USC? Do you want to become part of the Trojan family?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, of course, man. Are you kidding me?" It's like going from walking on. And interestingly enough, I give the news to Cal and say, "Sorry, I'm not going to be able to walk on. I just received a scholarship." They're like, "Well, we just found one, if you'd like," right? So it was that awkward.
Yeah.
But the receivers coach, Kenny Margim,
Yeah.
he was like, "Dude, I know where you have to go. Like, this is a no-brainer."
Yeah, dude.
Right?
That's
He's like, "I
amazing.
totally understand."
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah. So that.
So you went to
So
USC,
you get
and that's
to USC.
yeah, and then it turned into big business, right?
Oh yeah.
In a
it was
way?
like, I was not ready for it. I wasn't prepared for it. It started out great because I still had this mentality of being at Foothill, and it worked out great. First game, awesome. Leading receiver, leading receptions, leading yardage. Second game, similar thing. And then third game, it turned into, I don't know what happened, but between the amount of school, the amount of school work, as we all have experienced, and playing full time, something switched, and the politics started to take over of like amount of reps and the pressures of like, hey, you really need to fucking make every catch.
Right.
And if you don't, in one practice, if you drop one ball, wow, what's happening with you? Are you okay? Like, what's wrong? It's like, no, I just fucking dropped a ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can't do that.
You can't stop.
The expectation of perfection at high-level football is absurd.
It's
That's
ridiculous.
wild.
People who are controlling it expect perfection.
every
And it's conceptual perfection. It's not even based on reality, because a lot of times shit happens on a football field. You have a
The
plan.
best receivers in the league will drop
a
balls
ball.
and
all the
we're not
time.
talking about
Maybe you-
games. Yeah, we're talking about practices.
Yeah, there's a
right?
reason why that ball is dropped.
Yeah.
Human being can't be perfect on a football field. If he is, there's all these one-on-one matchups on a football field. One guy's going to win, one guy's going to lose. They're both badasses, right? If both of them were perfect, what would happen? Like a weird stalemate? Like, what would it even look like if
Right.
both were perfect?
Right.
It would
Nope.
look like shit to the viewers.
Right.
What it would look
Yeah.
like.
Exactly.
Nobody would want to watch
3
that.
yards every
Yeah.
play? Like,
You
3
can't,
yard runs?
because
and-
most viewers can't appreciate the level of skill at the NFL level anyway.
they do not.
Absolutely
You
not.
know, I
Yeah.
mean,
Or the intricate, what we were talking about earlier, the intricacy of the language of football that
Right.
you have to learn.
exactly.
You know, Fox right, 2 jet, all go, X come back, take, all this stuff.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What does that mean? People who say that football players are dumb, if you read that off to them, they'll say, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, who's the dummy now, motherfucker? You don't know what 2 jet is?
Fuck.
Idiot.
Get the fuck out of here.
Scientists are stupid.
I think too, amongst the pressure of like, hey, new guy coming in from a junior college, he's had 2 really good games to start off the season. I had people coming up and asking like, hey, are you going to leave early? Are you going to leave early for the NFL? For the
Whoa,
NFL? For the
really?
NFL? And
that was so
it's
fast.
too fast. And so
Wow.
in looking back now, I self-sabotaged myself. I would, and this bled into the NFL, was my ability to remember plays. I started doubting my ability to remember plays. I started doubting
Why is
my
that?
own ability.
Just all the pressure at school.
Pressure. So my response, I remember my sister asked me after one game, she's like, she's like, because a lot of people were coming around to interview, and she's like, you get interviewed by a lot of people and this and that. And I'm like, I know, and I really wish I could just be left alone. And I think that one statement, because after that, everything just went down. Everything went downhill.
What do you mean?
Well,
Playing time,
my
production,
like I was
relationships with teammates,
like everything. It was I self-sabotage. It's kind of my own doing for whatever reason.
You didn't feel comfortable in that environment?
No longer,
right.
for some reason.
I've been there.
You know what I mean? Where you just
totally.
get it's.
My last year in Jacksonville was like that for sure. Yeah.
When I went to Cleveland,
it's
it was
like
that.
you feel all of a sudden it's like coaches don't understand who you like. Coaches are not telling you the truth. You know, you're not buying in anymore is what it is too. You know, you stop buying in,
and they
so
don't.
It all looks alien, and it all looks like, you know, I'm not part of this puzzle anymore.
That's right.
It's a really fucking crazy feeling. I know exactly what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there.
Yeah, right. And it's from a psychological standpoint. I mean, I don't know about you, but at the time, like I had no idea what was going on. I was just like, you do your job, you get it done,
right? And
anything else is just bullshit, right? Deal with it, move it out of the way, and perform, right? So, it from that point on, it was a slow. I thought that was going to be it. I was done. Even after like 3 or 4 games.
You played 3 years there or 2 years?
2 years there.
Right.
And so my fourth game, just as this mentality started to take over, I ripped my MCL. And that was pretty much it. The season was done after that. And then they brought in like 3 or 4 other receivers. Mike Williams came in.
Oh my God!
I mean, so
the talent level. There.
Talent level, right?
Talent pool is so crazy to
right?
see there.
Oh God! So it's like you're either in or you're out, and it was like it's happened in the snap of a fingers. And so I was now observing versus actually participating, and it was like trying to like crawl out of a shit greased hole. Like you're just slipping, constantly slipping, right? And what stung, what really fucking stung was that I would look, and like you were saying, you look at coaches and you know they're not feeling the same as when they brought you in. Maybe they had such high hopes. Pete Carroll.
It's so weird. Yeah.
It's weird. Pete Carroll and Norm both, because Norm really like he took me under his wing. Was like
he went to bat for you. He believed in you.
And I'll never forget this dude. After the first training camp, and I was a little out of shape coming into the first training camp at USC. And he pulled me aside after like 2 days in camp. He's like, "Are you feeling okay?" and I went, "Yeah. What do you mean?" And he goes, "Well," and he crosses his arms and he looks at me and he's looking down. And he goes, "Well, you're just not what we expected."
Oh, wow.
Oh God! So that might have been the start. No, now thinking back on it, going meta on meta, that might have been the start of like the. Oh, God, well, I don't want to let him down. And like you're saying, it's like a father-son figure. I can't let him down. I can't let him down. And so
meanwhile, he's doing that to the entire team. They're playing those mind games in one way or the other.
Yeah.
That you good enough? Will you be there? And you're not living up to your potential.
Hey man, you looked fucking unbelievable out there today.
Yeah, God.
You looked fucking great. I'll tell you who looked great out there. You did. I saw that block you threw. I mean, Nate's absolutely right. It's an amazing psychological game that's happening as a coach to a player.
Do you think the coaches are aware that they're doing it, or are
they
under?
I think that's another question.
I think they're very aware of it because they see it. Players play fluctuate based on their attitude and their moods and the way they feel about their performance or how they fit into the team. And so they know that some guys you gotta encourage them. Yeah. And some guys, you got to call them motherfuckers. And some guys, you got to challenge their manhood. And some guys, you got to leave them alone. They'll figure it out on their own type of thing. But every coach has his or her own style when it comes to that. But when kids, amateurs in college, some of them are on scholarship, some not, they're so impressionable and they're dealing with so many expectations from coaches who, with a word like that, can fucking drive a dagger into you. God, it stays there forever. Yeah, that's still a moment you remember
vividly.
Right?
Yeah, dude, vividly.
And he doesn't remember that.
No, I probably not.
Because he has that conversation every fucking day.
Yeah.
With somebody who's not living up to what he, the coach, thought he could be. If only he listened. Yeah. To what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, that's truth. That's truth. Our paths, interestingly enough, would cross later in Tennessee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. At the end of the journey, which was interesting.
So let me ask you, at this time, because you're a writer now, were you writing at all? Were you exploring your creative process while you were kind of going through football in college and football in the pros?
The writing started in Nashville, in Tennessee. It didn't start until I got I had been through 2 teams already and was at the end of this 3rd team, and it was like I need to get this out somehow. But all that came out was anger. It was just all very angry.
That's good though.
That's great. Yeah,
getting it
that's
out.
got to get out first, man.
True. Yeah. But thinking on it then, I was just like, but there's no story because it's so angry, and so I stopped after a while just because
Well, what I found as a writer is like that part is the first part. You have to get out the emotion, how you feel. And then you go back and look at all the things you felt, and then you tie a story to it. You tell the story that makes them feel that. You know, you find a way to make them feel as angry as you did by showing them what made you so fucking angry.
Yeah, that's right.
You got to show them. So 2 years at USC.
2 years at USC.
Signed to the San Diego Chargers?
Yeah. So second year done at USC, I'm ready to hang it up. Like I figured I didn't have that great of a second year. I would play every so often, right?
Did you play special teams at all?
I played special teams, backup receiver at that point, and luckily we had Carson Palmer, Troy Polamalu. We had a handful of guys that were going to be drafted.
Yeah.
If not,
So there are scouts all the time.
Scouts all over, right? So pro day. All right, why not give it one last go and fuck everybody else, right? And prove to myself that I can actually do this. I don't need this platform of having a great college career to make it. Right?
Was there still some feelings about your father at that time when you were kind of finishing up college?
There was. It was interesting. It went back to wanting him to be part of it because I felt like it was a dream of his to always play in the NFL, and I think that's what was. It became mine, like I said earlier, somehow. And so we both, I think that day, I remember it vividly too, because it went really well. And it was a dream come true for both of us in a way. I finished the workout, had a great day, and I'm standing there just basking in the moment, just looking out at all the people talking and rocking around. And Marty Schottenheimer comes up to me. Of the 32 teams that were there, Marty was the only one that came up to me. He was like, "Hey, you know those iconic glasses?" Marty Schottenheimer. And we shook hands, and he was like, "I can't promise you anything, but I'd love for you to come in to training camp and earn a spot for yourself." And
That's
I was
awesome.
like, "Fuck yeah!" And that's when Ryan Tollner and Bruce Tollner, your agent as well, right?
I was up till like 5 shooting craps with Ryan Tollner in Vegas.
Oh, really?
No.
After the Vegas Bowl at Arizona.
Oh, wow. That's cool. He's a great guy.
Awesome guy.
We got to get him on the
guy.
pod.
Fuck yeah,
dude.
let's get him
Yeah,
on the pod.
he would be great.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just had to throw that out there.
No. Yeah, he just asked for somebody to reach out to. Like who can my people reach out to? And I was like, I don't have an agent. I didn't have anybody. And Bruce and Ryan just came out of nowhere like ninjas. Like, hey, we'll be your guy.
We're his agent.
Yeah. So that was it. And
That's awesome.
yeah, it was like, okay, well, I guess I have a chance to actually make this dream.
So you got into camp.
Got into camp, and a whole new mindset. Marv Marinovich trained me from that.
Marinovich?
Point. Yeah, dude.
Did he feed you kidney chunks and drag you behind the
No,
car?
dude, it's such
Pete
like the
Marinovich's
myth.
dad?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So well, his son going off the deep end is not a myth.
His son going off the deep end, not a myth, no.
And what drove him to that? I mean, there was.
Well, think of it from childhood on, right? I
Todd.
get it. You get it, right? Like
Todd is the son?
Yeah.
Todd is the son, and the quarterback. Going down that path for as long as he did, I can see you want to taste the other side, right? Like you, at least I know from my own experience, living on such a straight and narrow path for so long. When I finished football, I went off the fucking other side.
Well, you ended up as the bar back.
As a Spearmint Rhino.
Hey guys, put your dollar bills together. We got Grant Mattos starting his shift.
Bar back.
That's right.
Bar back.
So this is way down in the story, and
Way
I don't
down
know
the-
if we'll get there today. Actually, let me plug your book right now because some people out there are going to be wondering,
Yeah, let's
where
get
can I
that
hear
out.
more about this guy and what he's talking about?
Yeah.
You've written a book. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, The Fifth Down. It's a memoir about my life, my experience rather, in the NFL, and then after the NFL, and how, for a while, scraping bottom, I was able to pull myself out of a really depressed and anxious state, and how yoga essentially changed the path in the course of my life.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so it's much more than just football.
Right. So let's zoom through the rest of this football stuff so we
Okay,
can
we'll
get
zoom
into
it.
your yoga path.
Okay.
So you played a couple years in the league. How many?
4 years in the league. Bounced around San Diego, Denver, Tennessee. Was asked to sign for a training camp with the Oakland Raiders.
Grant, I think it's worth just give a minute of what that's like to be on 3 different NFL teams.
And not only that,
in a very short amount of time. Because I think that's worth having a little bit of light shown on that.
Well, the San Diego really felt like home. And after having spent a full season there and then expecting to spend another couple of seasons there, thinking you're in the good graces of your offensive coordinator, your head coach, only to, after training camp just be let go. It's again, as we've all experienced, a really depressed state because you're not given any warning. There's no like, hey, just so you know, right?
It might be over soon.
It might be over soon. It's like you get a phone call.
Tomorrow might be your last
day. Do you know what's interesting too? Oh, God damn it. I'm walking down the day before or the day of that I got released from San Diego. I'm walking down the hallways and there's no man. Marty's coming my direction. I'm walking towards him and we cross paths and we make eye contact. Hello. Hey, Grant. How are you? Normally, we'd walk right by each other. He wouldn't say anything, right? But on that day, and I went, oh, that's fucking weird. So we go through practice, and then later that evening, I get a phone call, bring your playbook, come on in. So, yeah. He's like, I'd keep you here if I could, but, it's not up to me. And I'm like, well, who is it up to, dude?
Yeah, who the fuck's
I'll
it
do
up to?
anything. Literally, like, I'll put my
to
body
me.
through anything. Right, so, but then Denver, though, shortly after that, okay, so between the teams, obviously, you have no idea if you're going to get picked up. As we all know.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
there was a gap
open. Yeah.
from September to December.
Wow.
I'm living in my buddy's parents' place
Ugh.
in a twin bed. His little brother's bedroom.
It's a race car.
Okay, no, it is. No, seriously, dude, it had not changed since he was 6. There was hockey. I walk in, it's a blue comforter. There's hockey pucks and baseballs and footballs on as wallpaper. Jerry Rice, like hero growing up, as it was for you too, right? Postered on the wall, staring at me. Jeff, my friend Mike Riccoboni, his little brother Jeff, had his 6 or 8 by 10. An 8x11 picture of Joe Montana on the wall with his head like stuck on the wall, dropping back to pass. Right, so I'm sitting in this tiny bed, for those whole months. Like that's where I would sleep. Training. Right? So I got on a regimen. I was like, I have no idea what's gonna happen. I have enough money to make a run at it. Train. That's what I do. 5 days a week. Rest 2. And of course, there's doubt. You're like, what am I doing? I can't stay they thought I was going to be there 2 months. I was like, yeah, I just need 2 months and I'll be on another team somewhere or I'll have a home. I didn't have anywhere else to go.
So when you were living in San Diego, you didn't have a place there?
I had a place.
What?
It's just so wild.
Yeah.
Man. Like you're living with people, like working out and training.
Yeah, it's his high school parents. Like
people want to help you. They're excited about the
people
fact
are like,
that the
I
NFL
got
guy.
this NFL guy. He's living with me right now. He's
right?
training.
Yeah. His dad is a dentist too, and he's all excited about contracts and money. He's constantly asking, like, has anybody called yet? And like, what's the, what are the numbers like? And and I'm just trying to survive, dude. I'm just like, I'm going crazy because I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't feel like I'm able or skilled in any other thing to do. Like, what am I can go
you're
check
not
bags.
Ready. You're not really mentally ready, right?
To
launch into something else.
So I go back to my junior college, Foothill Junior College, to head coach Marshall Spurbeck to get some advice, and he goes, I go, dude, this is really hard. He goes, well, welcome to life. This life isn't always easy.
Wow.
And so in the interim, I say, well, can you give me something to do? Because I'm going to go crazy if I don't. So I ended up working at the front desk of the student population had a gym. So it's like I don't know what you call it, a wellness center. And so I would check people in and make sure they didn't drop weights on their neck 4 days a week. And between that, working out, and
so December
rolls around and
you picked up?
No, October I got brought in for a workout
to
Denver. and didn't hear from them until December. And they're like, you know what, let's bring you in. So fly to Denver, spend the last I think it was the last regular season game and then a couple playoff games.
Right.
In Denver at the Holiday Inn in the John Elway suite. The John Elway
really?
Suite. Yeah,
You
the
had the
guy's
suite?
like, guess what? You've got the John Elway suite. I'm like, that's...
Do you think that was real or was that a joke?
No, I think he spent a lot of time up there, from what I heard.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That was
told
his
me.
room.
That was his room, like when he would.
Training camp.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
The John Elway
I knew
suite.
John Elway suite
At the
He was
Holiday Inn.
He likes to drink. Okay. Yeah. So,
But Grant came to Denver and came in, and we already had a really cool group of friends, and he just came in and became part of the group, and we.
Well, so this is interesting because it was the first time, and I was so closed off my entire life, just inside of football and outside of football. I used it as a way to. Football was an easy game to hide behind.
An excuse for anything.
Anything.
Everything.
Everything.
Do you want to go to this thing? Nope, I got football.
Football.
Can you do this? Nope, I got football. Sorry, babe, can't talk about this. I'm mad. I'm football. Football was hard. My body hurts. Football.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when So I get there, and you Nate, Charlie, Kyle.
No, Chuck.
Oh, wow, and Chuck.
Hey, don't forget about Chuck.
Don't forget about Chuck. Oh, I see you, Grant. I see you. You guys, I opened up for the first time, and it felt really like I had a
group of guys,
good group of guy friends that I could trust and hang out with and open up to, which was a new thing for me, and so Denver really felt like home. Like you guys, I have to thank you guys because you embraced me like one of your own, like a brother, dude. So that I think amidst all the turmoil and all the shit that we go through as professional football players is a saving grace in a way, right? It's like
and there's a lot of people who have had really kind of gnarly relationships with Mike Shanahan as a team creator guy. You do as well. You're going to get to that, but he also did bring in some really cool guys, some guys who created a really cool locker room over and over.
Yep.
And I played with a lot of guys in Denver who went on to other places or who came there from another place, and all of them said this place was the best time I ever had playing football. And so I credit Shanahan for putting that team together. But yeah,
hands down, I agree. Shanahan, I wanted nothing more than to impress him because one of my first practices, he came up to me and was like, "You're really going to help this team next year," and I was taken aback because I never thought of myself. It was still that weird insecurity of like, is he really saying this to me? Like, am I really that good enough? This self-doubt that never left my entire career, and I don't know why or where, but I started to believe it when he told me because, he doesn't say much, but when he does, he really means what he says.
Yep.
And it's powerful because it's potent. And so I wanted nothing more to impress him, and I loved his coaching style. I loved how direct he was, and the team that he created, right? I mean, it's fucking Mike Shanahan, right? So... I felt more disappointed that I let him down. It was my career was a constant feeling of, fuck, I've let this father type figure down again. Wow. Right? You know what I mean? And again, at the same time, I'm pushing my own father away. It was a weird dynamic that I had created myself.
So you were in Denver from from the end of the season until the following training camp.
So the following training camp. So
or let you tell it.
Well, yeah, no. So we go through the whole OTAs, mini camps,
and by the time at that time we were going to Vegas a lot, right?
Yes.
Was it that, or was it the next year?
No. I think we started. It might.
What year were you in Denver?
2004 through 2005.
Oh no, this was until a couple of years later when we went to Vegas. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah.
So go through all that, get up to the day before training camp. Meanwhile, Jerry Rice has come in. Right? We had signed Jerry Rice, heroes, right? Hero, my hero growing up. Like I emulated his work ethic. Yeah, dude.
Really?
He finished his career with us in training camp, and he retired in the middle of training camp.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Champ Bailey.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. Champ was in his prime, and there was just moments where I would look over, and Champ was guarding Jerry at practice, and Jerry, he was 43 at the time.
Yeah.
43 years old. He still had incredible technique, incredible stamina, but he just was not 27 years old anymore. And Champ would just lock him up on the line of scrimmage and just hem him up. Yeah. And I would just fucking die inside. It was so sad, man, because I loved
your guy.
Jerry was my guy, just like Grant. Posters on the wall, gold fingers.
It's so interesting, though, right? At the same time, it's your hero, right? And he's in the locker room. He's looking around. Like, he even came up to me the first day. I had to swap numbers with him, which I really didn't want to, but it's Jerry Rice.
What were you?
I was 19, and he had given 17 because that was the only number they had left.
And he was 19.
He was 19, right? So he comes up to me and goes, hey, man.
You had to get 17. That's a horrible number.
That's a terrible number, right? I felt so useless. I'm like, I earned this.
Bad, too, but 17 sucks.
19's all right. Yeah. So he comes up to me and goes, hey, man, we can exchange some gear or something, but would you be all right swapping numbers? And what am I going to say? I'm 23, dude.
Fuck you, Jerry.
Fuck you, Jerry. But inside, I am going, fuck you, right?
You should have been like, how much are you going to pay me?
Well, I know, looking back, hindsight. But
it's training camp.
Right? And so now.
How much you going to pay me, Jerry?
Jerry, how about, yeah, right? I wish I had done that. So now I'm looking at him more as a competitor, if you could call it that, right?
Yeah.
Because now I'm like, fuck you.
For sure, man. That's amazing.
Right? And so now I want to show him. It became nothing more. It wasn't about making the team anymore. It wasn't about anything else, but other than show, because we were playing the same position, receiver. And I was like, I'm going to show this guy that I should be here. I don't care about the coaches. I don't care. And so, yes, in one-on-ones, and it was hard to see, but inside I'm going like, yeah, okay, now watch me. I'm going to go right after you. Now watch me
do better than Jerry Rice.
To Champ, right? Yeah. The same guy that you just got locked up, I'm actually going to beat him. And I would do it constantly, and I'd look back and go like, did you see that? Did you see that? But he would be off, helmet off, staring off at the offensive lineman, just in another world. He was gone before he was in there, So it was kind of like
that's a really interesting look at two completely different stories.
And they intersected in a weird way. Well, they started in a weird way. You were idolized the guy, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Growing up, that was
Anybody from the Bay Area who wanted the ball in their hands was obsessed with Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Roger Craig, John Taylor, Brent Jones.
But you'll probably talk to any guy on that team, that Denver team you guys were on, and they'd be like, "Oh, Jerry Rice, man, that's like one of my fucking heroes."
Heroes, right? Yeah.
But receivers especially. Jerry Rice wasn't your hero.
No, but I was still like, because my rookie year I was on. Torrey Holt was on our team.
He was badass.
Wow.
And Torrey Holt was. Like, I remember watching the Rams win the Super Bowl. I was a big fan of the skilled positions, man. There are very few linemen to be like,
I want to be like Jonathan Ogden.
Unless you're a real football nerd. It takes you some time to get into that. So, but, when I was teammates with Torrey Holt, he's an insane character. But it was that feeling that, I didn't, and I remember hearing stories of guys who had to trade numbers with, that dude.
Yeah. I sold my number.
And that's an interesting feeling, man, because you spent your whole life getting to this level, and now you're on the same plane.
Yeah.
And this dude, fucking Jerry Rice, wants to trade jerseys? Are you kidding?
Right.
Like, what?
Right. But it's also really like...
But you're also like, wait, but that kind of fucks with my space. That fucks with my individuality.
At the same time, it's empowering to do what you did and be out there. I'm like, I'm better than Jerry Rice.
I'm competing.
Right now, we're both playing football, and I'm better than Jerry.
Amazing.
And there's this thing like people ask you when you get to the NFL, whoa, was it crazy? Were you like, oh my God, like look at all these players? No, you get out there, you realize, holy shit, I belong here. And there's a really powerful moment when you realize that I belong on this field. I can make plays just like them. Okay, these are my peers. If you go and you're in awe, then you get stomped.
Yeah, you mentioned it in your book, Slow Getting Up. Like, you come to a point when you realize these guys are just guys.
Human beings. Yeah,
they're human beings.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And there's no reason why you can't do the same, if not more. Because in your mind, you're always thinking, yes, I am better than that person. Or otherwise, we wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, you can't.
In the moment, like, the big scary linebacker who always just crushes people, you catch him the right way, and you feel it, and you're like, all right, right? Yeah. You like that? Yeah, mother.
Yeah.
And sorry, Gandalf. I woke up Gandalf.
No, but that's an amazing feeling, man.
Yeah.
And
it only takes one of those.
And football, I mean, to bring it back to, why we love it. That's why we love it. It's an equalizer on the field. It doesn't fucking matter who you are, dude.
Yeah.
you use the right technique and you get the right mindset and the right, speed, and you're coming at it the right way, you're going to fuck somebody up and have some fun doing it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what school you went to.
No, it fucking doesn't
None
matter.
of that matters, right?
No.
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't.
So Jerry, how did this story with Jerry end?
What?
For you?
It ended quite abruptly. I mean, for him, it was great. He got to retire in glory, like in front of a room of people
Right.
like, "Hey, Jerry, you're the best." And meanwhile, I'm watching from home as all this happened, thinking I'm gonna go. So the day before, back up, the day before training camp, I came in from Northern California. I'm sitting on my fucking expensive couch I just bought ridiculously, thinking I'm gonna be okay.
Right, because Shanny said, "Hey, we're going to use you next year."
You're one of our guys.
You're one of our guys. And and I get a call from a blocked number, and I go, "This isn't good. I don't want to pick it up." And I didn't pick it up, thinking that maybe they wouldn't call back. And sure enough, they called back, and I pick up, and it's somebody I have no idea who at this point. I don't remember. It said, "Can you come into the facilities?" And I said, "Please don't tell me I have to bring my playbook." And that's what I said to him. And he goes, "Yeah." You're like an office space, right? Like, yeah. Go ahead and bring in your playbook.
Oh, man.
Right? And so,
That's so
I remember
fucked up.
before I went in, I texted you, and I texted Kyle, and I texted Charlie. I was like, "Dude, I just got fired. I'm getting fired." And you guys like, "What?" And then I texted Ryan Tollner, our agent, and I said, "I'm getting fired." He's like, "What?" Nobody knows. Nobody knew. And so you go in, and it's this awkward. It's like all you hear is just it's dead silent. Nobody's in there. The bleachers are set up for what was supposed to be a start of training camp for you tomorrow, and you're feeling really good, and now you're feeling like shit, and you go up, and Shanahan's in his office. He'll see you now. And you sit down and you hand over the playbook. And Shanahan, being Shanahan, is just direct and straight. He's like, we just run out of room. And it's like just a staff to the heart. And you're like, what can I do to stay here? Anything. Like,
Yeah, but what can I do?
what can I do? I still have a lease on my
there
fucking apartment.
something-
It's like I've got 6 months left.
Right.
You know, like so.
Wow.
You leave and it's just so defeated because it's like, well, where do I have an apartment? I guess.
So did you get a garbage bag to clean out your locker?
Yeah, you get down and they hand you.
You still
as
have
all
that stuff?
know, No, dude.
Any football stuff do you have?
It's in a storage unit shoved in a box in somewhere in LA in a small. I think it's West LA. It's just stuffed in a storage unit. Like no, I just this year brought out a game ball that I was awarded in San Diego and started displaying it. Like, hey, yeah, all right,
It's cool.
you know what I
man.
mean? Which is cool because it's a huge step. Because otherwise, it's just stuck in a box. And I'm like, well, I should be proud of this.
Should be.
And I actually am now, which is interesting. It took 10, 12 years to actually get to that point, but it's something that I can look back and I'm proud of now. But then it was like, even my USC rings, I don't have them anymore. I don't know where they are. Don't care.
Yeah.
I do now care. I just didn't in the past, and whatever. It's just that mentality again of just like, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about it.
I don't know. I don't think you're way off on that. I think a lot of my, accolades or trophies or rings I've gotten have kind of faded in importance.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Did we win that year? I don't know.
Right.
It doesn't matter but
It's true.
But like all guys are always saying, at the end, like the things that matters are like the dudes we played with, those times in the locker room, the battle, what we went through, that all mattered. But like all that stuff, I don't know. It's totally faded out of my memory.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Good point.
It's the least of what I care to remember.
Yeah.
I actually think like a good writing exercise or like kind of a help group thing would everybody brings one piece of memorabilia that was like part of their thing, and it could be a helmet or a T-shirt or anything, team picture, and we all throw it in the middle and we fucking burn it. We light it on fire and watch it burn, man, because those memories can be sometimes really painful or fucked up. Like you were talking about with those balls. I have a bunch of those balls too. Shanahan used to do those for everybody on the team often after a win and give everyone a game ball when it was like this special.
Nothing.
Right. So then like I have these game balls, right? And
You
people
keep the fucking thing.
well, no, I don't. I'll take it. But then when someone sees it, oh, you got a game ball, it's not really for me. It's for the team. But and it's just like there's more nuance always to all this stuff than people who are fans believe. And especially in a city like Denver, they just love the Broncos, and anything Broncos is like, all right, man, John Elway, right? Like.
Jen. They suffer from Jen.
Right, exactly.
Elway nostalgia.
Look, hey, man, nice recall right there.
Hey, now.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, that's for slow getting up, man.
That's good.
Yeah,
I remember that.
yeah.
No, I love that term. I was like, that's fucking
Well, that's why they told
he
he was staying in the John Elway suite at the Holiday
I
Inn
know.
when really
Exactly. And I think you mentioned some little knick-knack like that as well.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I was chauffeured around in the John Elway van.
Right, with the John Elway dealerships.
Yeah.
And it was
Well,
John
no, those
Elway
are
everything.
legit. There's
Those are-
Elway
I know.
Toyota,
Yeah.
Elway Ford, Elway this, Elway that.
And
It's
then he
pretty-
just got himself a new gig just running the whole place.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So it's that fairy tale that fuels people's fantasies that's what it's actually like.
Right.
You know, oh, yeah, of course. That's what happens when you play in the NFL. You're a two-sport athlete. You get drafted in two sports. You
You're
win two
amazing.
Super Bowls.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
all great.
You become the messiah.
You're
of
like
the
the
city.
Kennedys.
Yeah, not at all.
No, it's not actually.
No, well,
It's
you are like the
fun.
Kennedys the way you get fucking assassinated.
But no one would perceive the game ball that I do have, because on it, as you can relate, as me being like a top player in the NFL, because on it, in parentheses, it says, "Great job impersonating Randy Moss." Right?
For the week on practice
For the
squad?
week, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
like,
Randy was a beast.
oh my God, he was amazing. I got to do the same thing as impersonate him when we were playing the Vikings that week.
Yeah.
You wear a number 84 jersey,
Yeah.
and you run all his plays on the cards.
Yeah.
And the quarterback throws it to you every time.
Yeah.
Because it's an active week.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a really fun week. Because
Yeah.
cards are great because you just have to. It's like drawing it in the dirt.
Yeah.
It's like your little kids. So they show you the card, and you're the color dot, and it shows you to run a
See
post.
this? Nate,
Yeah.
you're here.
Yeah,
You see it?
exactly. You got it. Hey, Nate. And the guys
Guys,
They used to get so
freak out.
Yeah,
the coaches
freaking
who do
out.
the cards.
Oh, they're freaking out. I
because
did
they're
that
like
myself.
lowest on the totem pole.
Oh, yeah.
And the coaches are watching
Guys.
them to see if they can get it.
I did not spend all night drawing up these cards so you guys could fuck around while I'm trying to get this drill going.
That's right. That's right.
Pay attention, Nate.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we run this fucking play every single day. Can we just go line up?
Exactly.
Get the fuck out of the way.
Right.
You're like,
Oh,
Jesus
God.
Christ.
But every coach wants to be a head coach.
Yeah.
They all want to be the man.
Well, that's the
So
dream.
they're like training.
Well, if the ones that know what they're doing there, I don't know. I don't know. Does everyone want to
I
be
think
a
they
head
do.
coach?
Like, I feel like they're in a pissing contest in a way, like trying to act tough so the head coach sees them acting tough. So they raise the, climb up the ladder. Some more ambitious than others. But I definitely had position coaches who were like auditioning for head coaching gigs all the time.
Yeah.
The most hurtful moment I remember, or I don't say hurtful, but the one I remembered was it was during a one-on-one in Denver, and the play was dead. Like I went to zig and I got fucking jabbed in the chest and I fell over. Right, tried to get back up unsuccessfully because the guy was just keep pushing me down. Right, and I'm just like, the play's fucking dead.
Oh, but then
And I
that's
got
when
Blade.
you pounce on someone.
Well,
just like-
so Blade comes over because Shanahan, his eyes are grilling me, right?
Blade.
And Blade comes
Blade.
over and goes like this. What are you doing? We don't give up. We don't give up. And then Jake Plummer comes over and goes, get up, dude, get up. And everybody's saying, get up. We don't give up. We don't give up. And I get up and I'm laughing.
We don't give up,
I'm
man.
laughing because it's so cliche, but it's not funny because Shanahan's he's just standing there, he's like arms crossed and eyes glaring at me. Jake zings one to me and it just bounces right off the chest. And it was so hurtful because Shanahan never yelled. He just came up to me and went like this. He was like, "So is that how?" No, he goes, "So is that how you're gonna do it in the game, Grant?" And I didn't know what to say. I put it to look down. I looked back up, and by the time I looked back up and I said no, he'd already turned around and was walking the other way, just like a scorned kid to walk to go look at the lineman or something. Wow. It was so hurt. And of course, you get back up. Let me do it fucking again. Get out of the way. I'm doing it again. And you beat your guy and you catch it and you go, see, I did it. I did
He's
it.
not even watching. He's watching
he's
the
over
defense now.
fucking just
Oh,
watching
good
people.
job, Grant.
Nice job. No one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck. And the whole week
Oh,
you're just
wow.
killing yourself. You're
So
like,
I guess the grand takeaway from everyone's NFL career at the end of it is that nobody gives a fuck.
Nobody gives a
how
fuck.
good you did
But that's
when
why
you were at
gotta
your
just
best.
love the ride, man.
Yeah.
You gotta fucking.
It's hard to love the ride.
It
I don't
is.
know if you can
No, is
appreciate
it?
the ride until it's
Yeah.
over.
No.
It's a hard ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
It's
so
a
it
fucking hard ride.
Hard
fucking roller coaster going down.
Welcome back to the hard ride.
The hard ride.
That's
Flute
the-
USA.
The hard ride. Is that the new name of the podcast?
That could be
Oh,
it, man. I
who
mean,
knows?
it's up there.
Oh, that's a good one.
So after your NFL career ended, I kind of want to zoom through. How are we on time? Where are we at?
About 50 minutes.
Oh, wow.
We've really. This is a Joe Roganer right here.
Yeah, this is good. So let's, for the last 15 or 20 minutes here, let's get into your kind of post-career philosophy, what happened, how you got to the point where you're at. When did you finally realize that it was over? Did you have a minute where you're like, oh, my God, it's done?
Absolutely. Like I said, I got asked to come work out for Oakland for the Raiders. My receiver coach at USC was now the head coach, Lane Kiffin.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, so I come in. First of all, I woke up late for the flight, missed the flight. That's how into it I was. And I got on.
This is going to be great.
It's going to be great. I missed the flight. I run to the airport, and I show up 2 hours late, and it was all USC coaches there that I knew from USC, and the USC athletic director, now I don't know what he was, quality control. Now he was like, thought you weren't going to show, Grant. And so I walk through the front doors, and he goes, Kiffin's waiting for you in his office. He goes, I sit down, Kiffin, I'm genuinely glad to see him. It's been years, and it's nice to see a familiar face in this environment. And he goes, oh, you're going to come in here, you're going to show these guys how to work. And I'm like, you have Randy Moss on your team. Like, granted, he doesn't work, but he's a really good wide receiver. I don't know my place here. I haven't worked out in 6 months. I'm out of shape. My hip, my right hip has zero cartilage in it and is throbbing on a daily basis.
You're going to show us how to work.
You're going to show us how to work, Grant. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, maybe this is the team that sticks, though, right?
Yeah.
Because
you always feel that way.
Yeah.
Maybe this is it. You know what?
Eternal optimist.
So I'm now become a tourist because usually I for these workouts I bring my own stuff. I have my own cleats, shoes. I want to be comfortable, right? So now I become a tourist. I get all the free shit that they give you,
and you take it.
I take it and I go and I wear it, and it's all new. It's all new cleats. New. I hate it, right? And so I get out, and the same 2 years earlier I'd been on a workout.
This is in where is this?
This is in Oakland. In 2006.
All right.
2007.
It's a shit show.
It's a shit show. I had the same offensive line coach throwing, not a quarterback, mind you. It's an offensive line coach.
Throwing passes?
Yeah, bag of chips in his pocket, sunflower seeds. He's like, I got you. I'm like, are you really going to throw me passes? Because I'm fed up at this point.
I got you, dude.
I got you.
It's the worst.
It's the worst. And so they time me in the
pro receiver.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on the ball like a slant, right? It's supposed to be like right there.
Yeah.
Just wait. So I go through the workout. I like my sweat tastes like I've been, because of my hip, it was chronic pain, and so I'd aspirin and pills and everything. My sweat tastes like like just crushed aspirin.
Yeah,
such a concentrate.
I've had that before.
Terrible, right? And I'm thinking, oh, dude, I don't know. And so after that workout, Kiffin comes out. He goes, man, 2 weeks time, you're gonna help us. You're really gonna help us out. You're gonna show these motherfuckers how to work. And I'm like, I didn't have the courage to tell him to his face, like, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
So I got handed a playbook.
Oh, you didn't? You said no.
No. I didn't have the courage to tell him no. I said, yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks. And I sat in the Oakland locker room, and I looked around at all the lockers and all the guys' numbers and their jerseys and everything. And I was just like, God, you know what? Like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. Like, it truly felt, that was like the axe fell, the cord was cut, everything. I'm like, I'm fucking done with this. And it was just like fucking the universe understanding this. The receivers coach comes in, and he sees me sitting there, and I must have looked horrible, like just so depressed.
Amazing. That must have been an amazing scene.
Well, he comes in, and he goes like this. He goes, you know what? He was the only guy that saw this. He goes, he handed me the playbook, and he goes, you know what? He goes, how many years have you been playing? How many teams have you bounced around for? And he goes, you know what? I wish I had, after 4 years, had left versus trying to chase it for the 9 that I did.
Ooh.
And he said, if I see you in a week or two, whenever it was, I'll be glad to see you. But if I don't, I'll be equally as glad.
That's amazing.
Do you know what I mean? And it was not. It was I was like right across to the chin, like, how the fuck is this happening? Because he knows I'm not coming back.
Yeah, he knew.
He knew somehow. And
what was his name?
Don't remember, man.
He's like a ghost.
He was. Yeah, I don't even know. He had
an angel.
An angel.
I'm saying that scene because I just saw that scene of like a young man at the end of this journey, of football. And that's really fucking. For me, that came in my in-laws' kitchen because things came to an end in Chicago. I was a free agent. I'd failed the drug test. I was going into a season that would start with a 4-game suspension because of a test positive for Ritalin, and that's another episode. But
Yeah.
that feeling of like, I got a call from the Bills to come work out, and I had this thought of like, man, I can't even get on the fucking airplane. Like, I can't go because, and it was this weird sort of disillusionment, or the picture sort of starts to come apart, you know, in your eyes, like you're saying.
Absolutely.
Like sitting there looking at these guys' numbers in the locker room, and it's like, it almost looks like you're not a part of it anymore.
Mm.
You know, it looks to you like you're not a part of it anymore.
That's how it felt for me in Cleveland. I spent 1 week there. That's how it ended for me. Cleveland was my last week, and I just felt very disconnected from it.
Yeah.
You know, that feeling where the coaches don't have me in their plans at all.
Yeah.
They're looking at me like, oh, we didn't.
Yeah. Who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Actually, we were wrong about you. We thought you were going to be able to do this one thing well for us, and we don't want to do that anymore.
Oh, God.
And then I left there, and then I went to the UFL, and my career ended on a field in the desert of Casa Grande, Arizona. My hamstring snapped off the bone, and I popped off
In
my
a
helmet.
cactus.
Yeah, and I
cactus.
looked off in the distance at a fucking cactus in the summer heat in the Arizona desert, and I said, "What? It's fucking over."
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
you know, and I had surgery, but
This is the thing that this is not talked about, right? Is this moment, these moments of where you, as a player, you feel absolutely and utterly alone,
Yeah.
surrounded by a bunch of
Yeah.
other guys,
Yeah.
right? Where you are not only useless, but you question your morals down to the foundation of like, who am I? And it's no wonder when the majority of players, when they finish, are going like, what the fuck do I do now?
Right. Yeah.
And you either deal with it as best you can, whether it's alcohol, pills,
Sex.
whatever it
fucking
is,
whatever
disappearing
it is,
to Las
man.
Vegas, like
yeah, money, drugs, disappearing.
disappearing. Yeah, and that was the route I took. I disappeared. I decided this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bury my head in the sand of the desert for as long as I can.
I actually think there's some value in disappearing, in going and hibernating, and doing what you have to do, lick your wounds, you know, figure out who you are down
sure.
there at rock bottom, because it's so much different. Your actual true identity is so much different than the guy you had to be on that team, because that's why you can feel so alone in that environment. It's because no one's really saying what they feel. No one's talking about what's really going on emotionally inside the human mind, inside the human body, when you're dealing with that shit every day.
Yeah.
And the stuff we've been talking about, the scrutiny, the video, slow motion, 2 angles all day long, 4 hours of meetings. Don't be talking. And if you're a minute late, you're fucking dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the guy to your right was here last
crazy.
week. He's gone. The guy to your left was here 2 weeks ago. He's gone. They're all new guys now. And you drive to work every morning knowing that there's 52 other guys driving to work who are ready to fuck you up.
Yeah.
No hard feelings. This is their job. Their lives are on the line.
Today's going to be a fucking battle.
Yeah, and every day is, man. And so, like, the real world life is not like that
Right?
at all. And so you disappeared into the desert of Las Vegas. You were dating a lady who lived there, and you went to live with her.
I went to live with her, yep.
And that's where you had your come to Jesus.
I
Man.
had my come to Jesus. It was interesting because just upon reflecting on it, it was as if I was going back in time, because I was dating a woman, like you said. She had 2 kids, and I became an instant father in a way. And the kids were about the same age that I was when my dad left. So it was an interesting come to full circle of like, okay, your 8-year-old little self has been running the show this entire time. Now, here's a chance to actually to see that little kid, acknowledge that he's done a great job up until this point, but you can let him go now.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing that at the time, I just didn't want to be the guy that left like my father had when I was there. So that kept me there for a lot longer.
In Vegas.
In Vegas, then I
So
maybe
you
I
had a
should've-
feeling that you should leave Vegas.
Absolutely.
You did not want to be in the environment you were in
Mm-hmm.
because it was a poisonous, kind of toxic environment.
Yeah.
Professionally, what were you doing for work?
Professionally, I was barbacking at the Spearmint Rhino,
Right.
Gentlemen's Club. And, I mean, oh boy,
Great place, great establishment.
Great establishment. But now let's talk about the difference between. So, like we mentioned earlier, Nate and I and some other Denver teammates had some experience, as you have as well, I'm sure, right? At this establishment. And you're on a different level when you go in as the NFL guy.
Yeah.
Now, contrast that to, I'm coming in I need a job. Do you know what I mean? I need a job.
Kind of
And the
amazing.
guy that hires you knows you from when you used to come in as a player. He actually thought I was you. He said,
so
Nate,
funny.
you play for Denver, right? And I'm like, no, my name's Grant, but yeah.
Yeah, I did play for
Yeah.
Denver.
He goes, Nate, he thought I was you. And
Wow.
I'm hired.
Story.
I'm hired. And just to give you guys a taste of the day-to-day, 5 days a week, you walk out, maybe, my shift started 4:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. 24 hours. It doesn't close, mind you. So alarm would go off at 3:30. Get dressed. Drive down the freeway. I can see it. The strip is off to the right. I pull off the exit. I pull into the parking lot. I circle a few times, hoping that by the time that I circle a few times, like an hour's gone by, but it hasn't. So I park the car. I get out. And I fucking kid you not, every morning I go to walk in, I have a sweatshirt over me. The door guy stops me and says, "ID, please." He thinks I'm a patron. Right. He thinks I'm a patron. And I lift up my jacket and I show him the emblem. And every fucking morning he'll go, "Where'd you get that?"
Oh my
Same guy?
Same guy. And finally,
What's his name?
never found out.
Never knew his name?
Never knew his name.
Holy
I was a
shit.
ghost in and out of there. So
For how long?
about 6 months.
Wow.
There. and then that segued into another local bartending job. I moved up East Las Vegas, which is an entirely different part of Las Vegas no one knows about, which is greasy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Greasier than the Spearmint Rhino. So you walk
That's
in
greasy.
4:30, it's lively. You've been there. We've all been there at 4:30 in the morning. It's lively. Everyone's dancing. The women are attractive. The clientele, everyone's wasted. Everyone's having a good time. And then like a freight train, 6 o'clock rolls around. Whew. No one's there. People disappear. They disperse. The beautiful women you once saw when you walked in, whew, gone. They're replaced by something else. By something else. And it's so sad. It's so sad because I would talk with the valet guy and he'd be like, you have no idea what I see when these dancers pull into the back and the shift that takes place between these times. And some people roll in with, child seats in the back and doors missing, like literally, no joke, doors missing, like car doors off, missing.
I thought strippers were really financially responsible individuals, though.
Yeah, that's true. It's a common misconception.
This must have been a bad apple. Go ahead.
Bad apple.
So like NFL players, like they're all rich.
They're all rich, right?
That's true.
That shift I walked into, those are all the ballers, right? Those are all the ballers that make the big money, and you see the pink Mercedes SUV with the pink interior, like those kind of cars, right? But this shift is really dirty and greasy, so it was a really dark place to be sober in, to be constantly told by managers higher up than me, "You're late all the time. You need to be here or you're going to get fired." And Greg, hey, Greg, get here on time. Fuck you, my name's Grant. Greg, right?
Greg.
So it was very much like the NFL in that no one gave a fuck who I was. No one knew that I played in the NFL. One of my managers was a former Major League Baseball player, and he had no idea that I played in the NFL, and he would always give me shit. And I would several times just want to pick him up and take him outside or physically harm him. But I didn't. So here it comes back to not having that release of you've been taught so long to just constantly go. And if you need to release somebody, you hit somebody really hard and it's gone, dispersed. When you don't have it anymore, it builds up, right? And so I'm coming into this environment. I hate what I do. I dislike my life a lot. And I'm surrounded by all this negativity. That's all just, how can I get more money? How can I move up in this world? How can I be the guy that wears the suit and everybody loves because I'm Mr. Las Vegas, right? And it was really hard to have to do that every single morning, and to be in that. You walk in, it smells like.
I used to be on the phone with Grant every once in a while and be like, "Grant, fucking get in your car and go.
Drive.
Man.
You were the one who was
Drive.
Go.
Drive out of that desert, man.
You were two people I talked to. The guy that eventually did pull me out and said, live with me in LA until you get back on your feet, because I didn't have the strength to do it myself. And Nate, who I'd call driving into this East Las Vegas fucking bartending job. He'd be like, dude, you're driving to work, right? Yes. Turn around.
Yeah.
Turn around and just drive out of the city. I'm like, my stuff. And you're like, fuck your stuff. Get out of there. And he was right.
Yeah.
He was right. I didn't have the strength at the time to actually do it. And it's an odd thing to say now, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. My 8-year-old self was still living in that house, and I had to.
Well, we all, when we
save.
leave, we kind of feel worthless, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you
gotta
go
start
when you
over.
feel worthless.
Yeah, you gotta
It's
start
situations where, like, I don't know. I
You
mean,
got to scrape the bottom.
yeah.
Scrape it for a long while.
You got to scrape the fucking bottom of the barrel, man, to find out what the fuck is in there. You know,
Yeah.
after you filled it with all this shit that was football, you know, and training and being the best and fucking going out there to kill somebody all the time and competing, and then that's gone, and it's like, oh wow, I'm just me. What does that mean?
And who is that? And
Who is that?
I remember one moment. It was a defining moment of like, I need to get out of this environment, this strip club environment. I'm breaking down a bar, and I recognize one of the dancers who used to date a friend of ours, or used to date Charlie. Fuck, I don't know if I should have said that now.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't, right?
Charlie certainly
Years
doesn't care.
ago.
Yeah, years ago. She was really great. She was sweet. So I'm cleaning up a bar. She's sitting at the end of the bar. It's light, like this bar is closed down, and I recognize her. We exchange pleasantries, say hello, and I'm getting ready to end my shift and grab my $80 for 9 hours of work.
Damn.
And I'm just like, God, peanuts, man. And she's sitting there counting her money, and I go, good night. And she goes, it was a great night. I had 5 regulars come in back to back to back to back. I orchestrated it like I was fucking Mozart. And I'm thinking like, oh my God. And she goes, you know what? All these people should be calling me the fucking Michael Jordan of this fucking place. And I stopped and I went, the Michael Jordan of this place? And she goes, yeah. I said, how much did you make? She goes, you want to know? And in my mind, I'm going like, no, because I know what you're going to tell me. It's just going to be like, it's going to crush my foundation right now. Yeah. $10,000. $10,000. She's walking out cash in her purse
For one night.
and I'm looking at these 4 $20 bills I have just like in my pocket, going, oh, what am I? There's
How do
something.
I get there?
How do I get there? I'll be a DJ, right? DJs are making a lot of money. I'll be a DJ. You have all these fantasies, and I even created in my head, I'll make a comeback. I'll call Norm Chow. He's with so-and-so. I'll create this plan to get back into the NFL, and then my validity, I'll feel good again, and I'll be somebody, right? I'll be somebody again. I won't just be this fuck off in a gentleman's club.
It's amazing. It's so desolate and fucking just
So it gets
raw.
so the rawness continued because after the Spearmint Rhino, I picked up a job. The woman I was dating at the time said, you know what, it's not a great environment for you. Here's another place that I can get you in. It's a local bar. It's an hour outside of Las Vegas Strip.
What? That's
Overlooking the Strip. They had the only bar in Las Vegas that looked out over the Strip. It was an hour away. I drove an hour there, an hour back. And my shift was 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So now it's a new shift. Now it's the graveyard. Now it's the graveyard. The graveyard shift. Oh God! I can bring myself. I literally at one point I remember taking like this handful of pills that were some sort of upper, some sort of like get you jacked, like really full of energy pills, saying do not mix this with alcohol. Only take such and such amount. I remember just flipping the whole bottle over, putting a bunch in my hand, going fuck it, I don't care. Putting in a handful, fistful in my mouth, with a whiskey, with everything. Like life at this point, I was just like you said, scraping the bottom. Like nothing mattered anymore in my life. I was feeling sorry for myself in a huge way, right? And this bar was like, it was the seediest of the seediest. The neighborhood was filled with older Las Vegians or whatever, people that lived in Las Vegas, who were serious drinkers. Now, like, and when I mean serious drinkers, I mean like a dude would be on my shift. His name, and we actually became good friends. Not good friends. We actually became. We talked. His name was Larry. He'd be there from 11 p.m. through my entire shift. through the entire morning, 7 to midday, go home, eat lunch, come back and be there through my shift again. I mean, I'm talking days in a chair. These are the kind of clientele that would be there. And I would have interactions with them and be like, what's life all about? And we'd all feel sorry for ourselves because we had some wrongdoing to us. And it was this vicious cycle of of self-pity. And I'd have moments where I'd fall asleep, like no one would be in there. It'd be like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, people knocking on the door to come in. You had to buzz people in, like, because people would come in with guns and shotguns and rob your till.
Jesus.
It was just it was gnarly. It was gnarly, and I'm so happy I got fired for sleeping on that job. So happy, because had I not, I would have stayed.
So you got fired, and then you decided I'm out of Vegas, and you left.
I got fired that night. Charlie and Chuck, our old teammates from Denver, came into town to party. Yeah. Partied with them hard.
I think I might have been there. Were you in the car? You drove? No,
yeah, I might have picked you up.
I wasn't there.
I don't think you were there.
No.
I don't think you were there, but I dropped these guys off, like the sun was up. I dropped them off at their hotel, and then I pulled outside of my now former girlfriend's place, and said, God, I don't know, because she had kicked me out the day before, and I didn't know where to go, who to call. My buddy Eugene from LA calls me just out of the blue, 7 a.m. Goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, it's too long to explain. Like the night I've had, the past week I've had, it's too long to explain. He goes, you need to get the fuck out of that city. And I'm like, I don't have anywhere to go. And he says, you come stay with me until you get back on your feet. Like, do you have enough money for gas? And I said, no. Like, I was out. I had lost my wallet the night before, had no cash, no money in the bank, so it didn't matter.
Are you really at rock bottom?
No, so here's the bottom part. I go, I don't have my wallet, so you can't even transfer me cash. He goes, where did you last see it? The Wynn. So I go drive on fumes to the Wynn Hotel and Casino. I go to the Lost and Found, and by fucking miracle, 20 minutes later, this lady comes back up with my wallet and goes, here, sir, here's your wallet. It was found in the parking lot.
And that, symbolically, we can call the start of your ascendance.
Yeah.
You're out of that dark place.
Sorry, that was a long-winded.
No, it was beautiful, because we need to know that stuff. But I fear that today we might have.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And I want to pick up where that left off.
I would love to.
Maybe another time.
I would love to. Yeah.
And we can hear about yoga, about meditation, about writing, the fifth down.
Yeah.
Which you can. Where can you purchase the fifth down, or can you yet?
The crowdfunding is going to launch on June 20th, so you can put your money towards editing and whatnot. And you'll get a copy 3 months after that, so sometime in October. But yeah, June 20th, Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign will begin. For
any kind of social media you want to plug or anything?
Yeah, that'd be great. Instagram.com at Grant Mattos, or Instagram.com/Grant Mattos, and same for Twitter. Twitter.com/Grant Mattos, and
awesome.
Yeah, the fifth down.
Shit, man. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome, man.
You're the man. Guest number one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
My name's Nate.
I'm Eb.
And we out.
Peace. Thanks for listening to the Mindful Warrior podcast, brought to you by Athletes for Care, a health and wellness resource for athletes of all ages. Don't miss out on Nate's books, Slow Getting Up and Fantasy Man. Be sure to check out BringTheHurt.com, a pain advocacy platform dedicated to alternative healing practices. Visit BeTrueOrganics.com for all of your CBD needs. Use promo code BRITAIN, all caps 10, for a 10% off discount.